Antibiotics in livestock, increasing consumer literacy. So there's a lot of pressure on producers to use less antibiotics, and that's mostly due to consumers having limited access to the facts about these antibiotics. They hear myths or incorrect facts, and they believe that the antibiotics are unnecessary or harmful to use in livestock. And so they put this unnecessary pressure on farmers and ranchers to use less or none antibiotics. But antibiotics are necessary in good animal husbandry. They are needed in livestock and farming. They prevent disease, they cure disease, and even though gain should not be the main focus of antibiotics, that is a positive side effect of antibiotics. The consumers should not fear the meat they consume because there are many, many different guidelines, laws, and directives that prevent antibiotics from ever getting into the consumer's food. The main problem is that consumers are afraid of antibiotic use in meat production. They are scared that they'll consume that antibiotic. They're scared that they'll become resistant if they ever need that antibiotic, and they mostly have wrong information about antibiotics that make them fearful.
So the importance of this issue is that producers need to be able to keep up with their good animal husbandry, which includes the use of antibiotics. And it also helps to keep the price of meat low, because obviously you can't produce an animal up to the time of slaughter if you can't keep it alive. And peace of mind to consumers is also very important, because not only do we want to provide them with a safe product, but we want them to feel comfortable using and utilizing our product. The current status is that we have multiple governmental agencies, which include the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, which their logo is at the top of the top right of our screen, and the USDA Acts for Food Safety, which there are 3 of them, and they include the Federal Meat Inspection Act, the Poultry Products Inspection Act, and the Egg Products Inspection Act. Also, there is a marketing ploy which puts a little sticker on meat products that says antibiotic-free packaging, which, as educated consumers and producers, we know that all meat is antibiotic-free, but these packaging ploys are just making more money off of that. So our past solutions include the Veterinary Feed Directive Bill in 2017, which decreased the amount of antibiotics that could be used in the feed of animals. The USDA withdrawal period, which helps maintain the fact that there is no antibiotics in the meat, even if the animal had received antibiotics prior. The associations supporting consumer education are National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the National Farm Bureau, and the Angus Association.
Now, our proposal to you, the United States Department of Agriculture, is, of course, we need to educate consumers so that they can better make informed decisions based on the fact that antibiotics never actually get into their meat, and also that antibiotic use is necessary in livestock at the same time. So basically, we are looking to increase trust in the farm system in the safe use of their antibiotics through the advertising to consumers. So what can USDA do to make this possible? In this case, we are asking that USDA opens regulatory channels, which allows the commodity lobbyist groups, including these 3, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the Angus Association, and the Farm Bureau Federation. What opening these regulatory channels will accomplish is that it will allow them to direct funding and advertising toward consumers in the direction we would like them to go. So essentially, what we are accomplishing with this proposal is that these commodity groups pay for advertising to the consumer to better increase the education of the consumer at a young age in schools in America before they become biased one way or the other. Okay. Okay. So, like I said, we're actually, in a way, we're actually providing funding for the educational campaigns in American schools. The commodity groups are the ones providing the monetary funds and are actually providing the advertising. However, the USDA and the Department of Education are overseers of this process to make sure everything is correct and there's no unfair advantage for these commodity groups.
The continuing the proposed solution, advertising campaigning. For this one, we're gonna use the social media as our platform. But social media, because social media has a way of showing consumers what they want to see. Low impact on taxpayer dollars. This solution has a lower impact on taxpayer dollars and will be easier to pass by Congress. Unlikely for community groups to take advantage in that way, and they will not have other choice but to comply if Congress passes the law. In this decision timeline, the timeline will begin at 6 months period for development and proposal to Congress. Following this stage 2 and 3 will be implemented simultaneously in a 1-year period. To elaborate, both the approval process through Congress and the coordination committee group will need to happen at the same time in order to ensure a smooth transition into stage 4. Stage 4 will be continuing overwatching regulation of these community groups to ensure the main object is within a year or two. This stage will be continued for as long as the solution remains viable. Stage 1 is the research and proposal. Identify existing regulations limiting proposed advertising. In this stage 1, the budget will be discussed further, but also be developed. To complete this stage 1, this research will be presented to Congress by a proposal outlining the need of regulatory change in order to implement our solution. Stage 2 of our solution involves the passage of regulatory change in the Congress of the United States. This will involve the USDA to the largest degree at this stage. It will be necessary for the USDA to convince Congress of the viability of our solution.
So for stage 3, we're going to talk about coordination. We want commodity groups to be able to make their own education programs under the guidance, of course, of the Department of Education and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. I would also like to touch on the budget quickly. For our advertising budget, we're looking at about 1.5 million, and this is going to help us spread awareness through the widest audience we can, through print media, through social media, and mass medias of all kinds. For public relations, we're looking at about $750,000, and this is going to be able to help us communicate the issue to large groups of people and to be able to set up some of these programs that we'd like to do. For social marketing, we're looking at about $250,000. This is going to help us continue and to keep going with the effectiveness and to derive the effectiveness of the education in the long term and make sure we're doing the right job. So for events, we're looking at our highest, one of our highest amounts. It's going to be the $1 million figure. It's going to help us spread the awareness in large groups and so many people that we can get out there to, get this message across to maybe some people who don't have access to social medias and television, stuff like that. And finally, the spokesperson, a face that we can kind of attach to the message that's going to get there, it's going to be out there like telling people what's going on. And that's going to be an annual salary of about $100,000 for the foreseeable future of at least 5 years. And that's total going to be about $500,000. So for everything, for the proposed budget, it's going to be in the $4 million range. And just to conclude what's going on, we want to launch an educational program with you through the USDA to help educate average consumers about what's necessary to give them a bit more peace of mind about their food security. And we do want to focus on a younger audience so that they can grow up to be informed consumers. And that'll also help so that farmers, will be able to utilize antibiotics in these animals and give everyone a bit of peace of mind and stop the spread of some of the false things that are being put out there.